Okay. Hello. I don't know what to do. Okay, hi guys, and welcome to my video. This video is going to be all about, you guessed it, driving. Yay. First of a two-part video that I'm going to do, and it's all about my experience with driving. So it's everything that I went through to get my license. Yay, I'm so happy. I've been wanting to do this video for so long, and it's like a story time. I want to do a story time. So let's rewind. 15-year-old Jen, and I was living with my dad, and he had a huge van, and he used to drive this van for work, but then he had a little runaround car, and in this runaround car, it was a banger. It was those old school 3-door cars, didn't really do much, just from A to B, A to B. And when I turned about 15 or 16, and I think I got the provisional, he was like, let's go. He was like, get in the car, I'm gonna teach you. And it was a manual car, so I'm so happy I learned manual. My dad was really big on learn manual. If you learn manual, you can do anything, you can drive anything. If you start with automatic, you're going to limit yourself massively by not doing manual, because you're not going to be able to drive all the cars that are manual. And it was amazing. He would sit me in the car and he would be like, right, this is the clutch, these are the pedals, this is the accelerator, and the basic one-to-one. And then he would start to let me find the biting point. So I would like play around with the pedal and to find the biting point in the clutch and just getting a feel for the car. The interesting thing though is in London, in UK cars, we're on the right hand side. The car that my dad had that I learned in was actually on the left hand side. The gearbox, and it was used my right, everything was crisscross, and it was good, and I learned. And I remember my dad would be like, right, we're gonna go around the block. So I would be driving and be like going around the block, and then he would be like, right, let's go to the shop. And then I would go a little bit further, and then eventually he would be like, right, let's go to Sainsbury's local. So I would get even further, and I was practicing, and I was good, and I was on the road. My first recommendation, I think, is if you have someone near you that has a car, ask them, please, can I just sit in the car? Can I get used to it? I think one of my best helps has been the fact that I have been in a car from age 15, 16 and felt comfortable and understood what things were. It's not like I went to 20, 25 and I wanted to do my lessons and I had no experience. So if you know anyone that has a car, ask them, can I just sit in the car? Can I get to know some things? Can you show me some things? Can I move it? I'm sure there's like insurance issues and illegal issues, just don't crash the car. But yeah, that's my first recommendation. If you have someone near you, get in the car and look at it, because it's so exciting. So yeah, my dad would drive me around, and it was a good bonding experience, and we had a great time. My dad would be like really cheeky. He would teach me things like mirror signal maneuver. It's been a long time. He would try to teach me as a tutor, but then he would also be passive aggressive. Like I would be doing my maneuvers and changing corners and stuff, and he would be like, oh, clearly you don't need the mirrors, I'm gonna sell them. Yeah, you don't need them, I'm gonna sell them. Maybe there's no reason to clean that mirror because clearly you don't use it. Things like that, and it's just so annoying. No matter what, the instructors, no matter who it is, it could be your brother, your sister, your boyfriend, your father, the man around the corner, it's going to annoy you, and it's going to be so hard. That was one of the things that I needed help with. Mirrors, like I really struggled with mirrors and to do it, and to just all of these kind of things. Good that I had him to remind me, but it is still one of those things that I found really hard. Moving forward, my dad took me a certain amount of the way where I learned. Maybe he decided that it's time for you to get a real instructor, that you need to learn properly. So we had a local instructor. This guy, his name is Jairo. He's a Colombian instructor. He's around in the southwest regions. His sign on top of the car is like the Colombian flag. Like if you see it, you will know. The reason why my dad knows him is because obviously like family friend, but also he passed my mum 20 years ago when my mum was doing her lessons. He taught my mum everything she knows about driving, and my mum is a driver. She has driven from here to Spain, she has driven to France, she has driven to Scotland. Like we've done huge traveling with my mum's driving. So he taught her everything she knows. So my dad was like, yep, let me call him, I'll hook you up and you just get to it and you pay for everything, which is, I think, by the way, saliva or whatever. I think I spoke with Jairo. I was like, hola, hello. Like my thing was, I didn't know whether to speak to him in Spanish or English. So tough to know sometimes. I met him, I got in the car and we started to do lessons and it was great and I was learning. I remember one time he picked me up as he dropped off another girl, and this girl came zooming in his car and parked, and I was just beginning my lessons, and I remember looking at her and thinking, when will I ever get like that? When will I ever be to that point where I am just driving around looking bossy? Like, I remember that day and I thought, this is what I want to do. Like, I know I love driving and I don't know why. Who knows why? My brother passed so fast. I think he passed first time, he smashed it manual. My dad drove, my mum drove. I was just, and I used to have so many driving trips and everything, and I just know this is what I want. This is what I want to do. I want to drive. In my mind though, I was still quite young. I think when I learned to drive with my dad, I was like 14 to 15, 16, right? With Jairo, I was definitely 17, 18 now. And when I met Jairo, he was like, I think he said to me, do the theory test, let's see if you understand it. If you understand it, then I won't have to go over all of that kind of stuff. Because it was my first time doing a theory test. So I did it and I passed first time. And I was like, look, Jairo, no, this is it, I got it. He was like, cool, all right, let's go to drive. I don't know if you guys know, but when you do your theory test, you get 2 years to smash your practical. So you've got a time limit on that theory test. You can't just do the theory and then have 20 years of practical before you pass. So yeah, so I did the theory for the first time. I passed for the first time, and then I went back to lessons with Jairo. It was great. I just think I struggled with the Spanglish. When I'm with a Spanish person, I want to speak to them in Spanish. It's just like, it's like innate. But because I was English, he wanted to teach me in English so that I could understand 100%. It was just one of those things. We was doing lessons and I think I became broke. I don't know why. Maybe EMA was stopping. I don't know what happened. I was like, Jairo, I'm sorry. This is like my last lesson. I'm taking a break. I don't know for how long, but I'm poor. I'll come back to you. And he was like, yeah, sure, no problem. Lesson number 1, yeah? If you're doing your lessons, do not take a break. I have met so many people that say, I'm taking a break. We never ever go back from that break. It's like an unwritten rule, like it's a thing. Why can we never say I'm taking a break from my lessons and then actually go back? I don't know, but that's what happened. I didn't go back, and then my theory test expired. And then years flew by and I didn't do anything. So that was my first theory test, yeah? And then that's the end of Jairo. Like, I didn't work with Jairo. I didn't work with my dad anymore. My dad went to Colombia. Like, there's so many different things. And I was like, growing up, I think I finished sixth form and then I went on to university. But in my heart, I knew I wanted to drive still. It's one of the accomplishments that I wanted to achieve before a certain age. And in my mind, that age was 25. I don't know why 25. It's just one of those things that I had inside of me. And people laugh at me. People laugh at me for doing things like, by 25, I want to do this. But what are you gonna say? Fast forward, and I've paid for lessons. I've done theory tests and I've paid for theory tests. Everything's expired and I've forgotten everything. I turned 23 or 24. I'm not doing any lessons, but in my mind, I'm like, why have I not done my driving? I'm poor. I've worked all these months, all these years. I have nothing to show for it. Why have I not done my driving? And I did a mental goal again, and I said 25, I am doing it. I don't care about nobody. I'm gonna do it by 25. Annoyingly, I did the theory test. I did the theory test in a hope that it would push me to do the lessons. I passed again, which with pass first time all the time. So I think in my sense, I would love to recommend to everyone else, if you're doing a theory test, download the official DVLA app. And it's paid for, you have to pay for it. But I think there's nothing better than paying for the actual companies that do the theory test than to pay this John guy that created an app that is for free, that he thinks are the accurate questions. Like, I don't know. I'm really happy that I've paid for the official thing last first time. So I just feel like, buy the official app, practice 1,000% as much as you can, wherever you are, in the toilet, on the travels, do as much as you can. And then before you know it, you will do your 100%, you will be fine. Oh, rather, police is coming. Oh my gosh. Ramen, it's awkward when the police go by. I don't know why. Since I've been driving, like, whenever I see them, I get a bit like I'm doing anything illegal. What are they doing? I feel like they're stopping people, that they've been like stopping people a lot recently. Okay, so where was I? So I did my theory test again in a hope to push myself. And then a year passed and I didn't do any lessons. So now I'm 24, or I've actually turned 25. And I've still got a theory test, and it's got 2 years, but I'm halfway through, so it's got 1 year left, and I'm 25, or I'm 25, no. Yes, bro, I'm 25. July, I turned 25 and I'm just like, what am I doing? I'm 25 and I haven't done my driving. One day I don't know what I was doing. I was at home, I opened my door and I see an instructor in my block downstairs, and I approach the car and I see that he is doing lessons with a neighbor of mine, which is great, you know. And I said, hi, like, I'm sorry to bother you guys. I just want to do some lessons. I want to know your prices, if you can call me back later. And he gave me like a price sheet, and then he spoke to me later on. And then when he spoke to me later on and I met up with him, he said, yeah, I'm doing lessons with your neighbor. I also did lessons with your other neighbor and I passed her. Oh, cool. So did she pass first time? Yeah, because the company was called First Time. And I said, did she pass first time? And he was like, yeah, pass first time. And I was like, cool, sounds like you're the guy. His name was Carl. Rah, the ball hit my car. I think his name was Carl. Carl from First Time driving school, yeah? So as soon as he met me, he was like, do you have any driving experience? And I was like, well, you know, I learned with my dad a little bit, and then I did some lessons with a man called Jairo and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, cool, let's just get in the car. I'll tell you what, you drive me all of that. And I was like, I haven't done this in a long time. He was like, doesn't matter, you take me. And I literally had to like engage my mind, drive, and take him wherever he told me. And so he could see how much I knew and how much I didn't know, which was obviously a lot. And then he evaluated me and he said, you have to work on this and this and this, but you know, you're pretty much there, like you can obviously drive. I think this was in October. I started with him, I think like October, and my theory test was to expire in March. So I did lessons with him. I did 1 hour lessons with him every 2 weeks or every week, every 2 weeks or every week. And then I fast forward till about the new year, and he said, I think you're ready to bump it up to 2 hours. He said, book your test. I was like, when? He said, in March. Oh, that's too good. That's so close to my theory test expiring. I said, yes, let's do it, because you cannot do your exam, your practical, unless you have your theory test passed. So I said, yes, let me do the exam. I set it for March. I think it was like March 6th, and I think my theory test expired March 15th, for example. And I worked hard and I did 2 hour slots. I did my exam in Croydon Test Centre as well. So it was hard. It was apparently one of the hardest places you could do it. So, and I did everything, and it came to exam day. Part 2, I'm going to talk about all of the exam, the whole practical thing, why I failed, how I passed, all of these things I'm going to talk about. But the main thing that I wanted to say is about the whole theory testing. I went and I did my exam, in the back of my mind thinking, if I fail this, I have to do my theory test again for the 3rd time. And I did not want that to happen. Lo and behold, I go to the exam. I'm over the moon inside. I'm nervous. And the night before, I was dreaming about the elation feeling of hearing you've passed and taking the photo and thinking, I was like, I want that feeling so much. My dad passed, my mum passed, my brother passed. I want to do this. And then I failed. And then and then I realized that the theory test failed. And then I had to do everything again. I had to pay again for the theory test and do it. And then I had to pay for the practical again and do it. And you know what? I didn't tell my instructor. I didn't tell my instructor that my theory test was expiring. So when I failed, I ghosted. I went missing. And I didn't reply to his text for a while because I was so hurt. And I took time out and I did the theory test because I was embarrassed that it expired again and that I had to do it again. And then in that time, I even called, because I was just feeling so bad. I don't know what's wrong with me. I called another instructor and I was like, listen, I'm ready to pass. Just get me to the exams again. I want to do this again. I just want to do it and pass. And then I met this new instructor, yeah, and he was so brand new and precise. I was like, this ain't gonna work. This is not gonna work. After the first lesson, I said, this ain't gonna work. I'm so sorry. And then I called back my instructor, my old instructor. I was like, I'm ready to carry on. I'm sorry. And then when he got into the car with me, he was like, Jen, what happened? Where did you go? I was like, brother, I'm sorry. Like, it hurt me. I had to take some time out. I had to do the theory test again. I didn't want to tell you, but here I am and I've got it again. I just took some time out and I'm ready to do this again. And he took me to the end and yeah, I did my exam again and I passed. So I think that's it. Thank you so much for listening. I hope it wasn't too much. I will definitely chop this down and like make it more streamlined. But yeah, guys, look, it's not easy. Driving is not easy. Learning to drive is probably one of the longest things. I think I could have just done the theory test, done some lessons, and then passed. But because I started so early, which I do advise, but don't do the theory test so early unless you know you're going to do your exams. It's like 10-15 years of me having the desire to drive and then going for it. 2 points, and I will list them here somewhere here. But I think that's it. And I wish I could do part 2 now, but I won't. But part 2 is going to be all about my actual exam. I don't know when I'm going to film it, but part 2 is going to be all about my exam, everything that happened on the exams. And I'm also going to try and do like videos so that you can visualize what happened to me. I want to talk about Croydon Test Centre so much because it's one of the hardest. And also I want to talk about why I failed. Why I failed. Maybe I could even talk about the points on my failing sheet paper. But yeah, why I failed and how I passed and how I feel about driving, because I love it. Also, next time I might wear some makeup because boy, it's lockdown. I hope this video can serve you as a reminder of the things that you can stay engaged with, like your theory test app and stuff, so that you can prepare for when you do take the test, or just like a story time, you know, whatever. But yeah, good luck everyone with your driving, and I promise you, you will not regret it. It's one of the best things in my life. It has given me so much joy throughout lockdown. I love having a car. I love having a car. In part 2, I'll talk about the car as well, and like, oh no, maybe part 3, how I bought the car and everything that went into buying the car and the problems that I had since I bought the car, because it's not easy. But I love having a car. So thank you guys, and goodbye. Like, comment, subscribe, by the way. Okay, bye.